are going to do some more factoring when the leading coefficient isn't 1. So just remember that the shortcut that we learned yesterday only works when the leading coefficient is 1. That means the number in front of the x squared term. So in this case here, we have the leading coefficient of 3. That means that the a, or the number in front of the x squared, is 3. So when we have the situation, we can't just jump to the answer with shortcut. You have to do a little bit more work. So in order to find the number that your two special numbers have to multiply to, you take a and c and multiply them together. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 30 and two numbers that add to negative 13. So if you need to, you can write out the factors of 30, but hopefully you're able to see the answer. So those two numbers that work here are negative 10 and negative 3. They both multiply to 30 and they add to negative 13. So this is different from the shortcut because with the shortcut, you're only looking for numbers that multiply just to 10. But when the leading coefficient isn't 1, it's a little bit more complicated. So now that you know what those two numbers are, you can rewrite the problem just like we did when we were trying to make it so that we could do factor by grouping. So here, I'm going to split up the middle term into these two terms. So I have 3x squared minus 10x minus 3x plus 10. This statement is equivalent to the top one because if I just simplify the two middle terms, I get back what I originally had. Now that I have rewritten it this way, I can use factor by grouping. So if you look at these first two terms, the only thing in common is an x. If I take out an x, I'm left with 3x minus 10. If I look at the second two terms, they don't really have anything in common. However, when this guy is negative, you have to take out a negative. So if I take out a negative 1, then I'm left with positive 3x and negative 10. The reason for that is when you're thinking about what you have left in the parentheses, what you're really doing is dividing by the number that you took out. So negative 3x divided by negative 1 is positive 3x. So now that I have this expression here, I have to look for what this and this have in common to just complete the factor by grouping. So they have the factor 3x minus 10 in common, and only x minus 1 is left. So this is our final answer. There's no shortcut with this like there was in the other one. So here, that expression is equivalent to the original one. And you can always check whether or not you're right by FOILing this out. So if you multiply these two expressions together, I'm going to get 3x squared minus 3x minus 10x plus 10. If you simplify this, you get 3x squared minus 13x plus 10, which is equivalent to the original statement. So we're just going to try a few more examples. So let's think about what you need these numbers to accomplish. You always want them to multiply to whatever a times c is. In this example, it's also, like in the previous one, negative 30. You always want the two numbers to add up to the middle term, the negative 7. Or that's also called the linear coefficient. So now you have to pick two numbers that do this. If you want, you can always write out the factors of negative 30, but hopefully you can see that these two numbers are negative 10 and positive 3. They achieve both the multiplication answer and the addition answer. So now all you have to do is rewrite the example using these two numbers that you found. So the way that you can check if this is right is you have to make sure that it is equivalent to the original statement that you've had. So now, if I look at this term, I can take out a 2x, and I'm left with x minus 5. If you look at these two terms, you can take out a 3. So I'm also left with x minus 5. Now you can complete the factor by grouping by taking out an x minus 5. Then you're left with x, 2x plus 3. So this is our final answer. You can always check whether or not this answer is right by foiling it out and making sure that it equals the first original statement that you had. So now let's do our joke of the day. So what do you call an alligator wearing a vest? It's an investigator. Okay, so if you look at this example, we're trying to figure out two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and that add to 5. So you're always, to get this negative 24, you're taking A and C, and to get this 5, it's just the middle term, or B. So the two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to 5 are 8 and negative 3. So then the next step is just to rewrite your quadratic expression. So you have 4x squared plus 8x minus 3x minus 6. So now it doesn't matter which order you write these two middle terms in. That's to complete the factor by grouping. So I can take out a 4x, I'm left with x plus 2. Now because this term is negative, I have to take out a negative and see what else can come out. Here a 3 can also come out. So if I do negative 3x divided by negative 3, I'm just left with x. If I do negative 6 divided by negative 3, I'm left with positive 2. So here, I'm left with x plus 2 and 4x minus 3. You can always check your answer by foiling this out and making sure you have the original question. One more example. So here, you want your two numbers to multiply and add to something specific. So let's take a minute now and try to think about what those numbers are that you want these special numbers to multiply to. In order to get this number here, I take A and C and I multiply them together. So here 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. And the middle number is 9. So that's what I want the terms to add to. So the two numbers that accomplish this are 10 and negative 1. So then I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this by splitting up this middle term. So I get 2x squared plus 10x minus 1x minus 5. So if I look for what's in common, I can take a 2x out, and I'm left with x plus 5. Now here, they don't really have anything in common except a negative. So remember, if this term is negative, you always have to take out a negative. So then you're left with x plus 5. The reason that we have to take out that negative is so that this term agrees with this term, and we're able to complete the factor by grouping. So at this point, you can take out your x plus 5. Now we have to think about what's left. It's 2x, and then this negative, but what's really multiplied by that term is a negative 1. So it's 2x minus 1. So don't forget to answer the questions. Oh, I forgot a student of the day. Our student of the day is Chris Callahan, because it's his birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday, Chris.